When the original Tundra first came to the market back in 2000, it was an instant hit for Toyota. And although sales never quite approached its domestic rivals, the Tundra still lays claim as the first Japanese brand full-size truck here in America. So what about the second generation? Well, for 2018, Toyota has given this truck a pretty heavy overhaul, and this week I'm testing the fully loaded 1794 edition. Is it still worth a look if you guys are shopping for a full-size truck? That's what we're here to find out. If you guys remember the first generation Tundra, you'll know that it was kind of a tweener truck, not quite as large as the domestic offerings. And Toyota rectified that for 2007 with the second generation. It's now pretty much the same size as all the Ford, Chevy, and Dodge trucks you see on the road. For 2014, Toyota gave the truck a pretty significant refresh, and for 2018, they've given the truck a slight redo again. The most noticeable element is the headlight. All Tundras will now come with LED daytime running lights as standard, even on the base SR trim. My 1794 edition comes with full LED headlights and taillights. That comes standard on the Limited and up. It is available on the SR5 as part of a sport appearance package. It really modernizes the truck's looks. Considering the fact that this truck was new in 2007, it's now the oldest offering in the segment. And honestly, I was in high school back in 2007. I'm kind of old as but hey, that's not what we're here to talk about. But you can see the grille is an area where Toyota really gave this truck a big overdue for 2014. The Tundra was criticized for having a slight soft look. You can see it's got this huge, massive billet-style chrome grille, especially on the 1794 edition. The other trims, if you guys go for like a TRD Sport, kind of have like a mesh finish. I think it's a little too chromy for me, but chrome again is not really my taste. A lot of pickup truck buyers really like the chrome look. The Toyota emblem houses a new radar sensor, as Toyota has made Toyota Safety Sense P as standard equipment on all Tundra trims, even the basic work truck SR trim, which is kind of impressive. Adaptive cruise control is still kind of making its way into the full-size segment, and Toyota has made it standard on every trim for 2018. Now, speaking of the trims, there's 5 available, which is pretty simplified compared to a US offering, starting at the base SR, SR5, Limited, Platinum, and then 1794, which is kind of like a King Ranch competitor, similar to an F-150. Now, the wheels on the 1794, these are 20-inch wheels. They're 275 with tires. They look good. You do have like an optional bigger chrome wheel if you guys want that, but I actually like the more restrained machine finish that Toyota went with. Now, you can also distinguish this as a 1794 from the big badge here. The Platinum trims will have like a Platinum badge. If you guys don't get the fancy trims, you'll get a 5.7 iForce V8 badge to kind of designate that you have the bigger motor. Now, looking at the size of the Tundra, this is the Crew Max model. Toyota got rid of the regular cab for 2018, so you can take a pick between an extended cab, which they call double cab, and then the Crew Max. You can see the door size is huge. It actually has a little bit more space than a lot of its US offerings, if you can believe it, and because of that, the wheelbase is huge. It's about 145 inches long, which is about 5 inches longer than most of the domestic offerings. The Crew Max trim cab configuration only comes with one size bed, a 5.5-foot short bed, which is kind of against what the US competitors do because they have a slightly longer 6.5-foot bed option with the full-size doors. If you guys want an 8-foot bed, you have to step down to the double cab configuration. Now, looking at the rear, the taillights, you can see they were refreshed for 2014. Toyota didn't really do anything else this year. They're not LED taillights. They're definitely not as fancy looking as what you see on the new F-150, but it does look a little bit better. Every Tundra comes equipped with a rear backup camera. I like how they kind of spelled out the lettering of the truck in the back of the tailgate. Kind of gives it a little bit more of an aggressive look. Now, looking at the tailgate, it is hydraulically assisted. My tester is missing a bed liner, so I would recommend going for that. But you can see the bed is very useful. It's about 22 inches deep, and it's a very wide bed, nearly 5 foot wide. So it is very usable. Some of you may prefer to get, a longer bed, which is why you have to step down to the double cab. I would recommend kind of like a tonneau cover and a bed extender as well. There's no easy way to get into the bed like some of the competitors, like Ford has the step, Nissan had the step bumper. So it is a little bit where you can see Toyota's a little bit behind behind in the times. There's also no like LED lighting into the bed like some competitors. But one thing that's really cool is that rear window actually slides down completely in the back, and that's really a Toyota Tundra exclusive. You'll get that on the limited trims and up. Because the Tundra is an older design, it doesn't offer smart key access system with push button start. Even though my tester is fully loaded, here is the key fob for the Tundra. It's just a standard in-key remote with keyless entry, which is interesting because Toyota offers push button start on the Tacoma, but that truck was redesigned for 2015. But with the Tundra, it's an older truck, so to lock the door, you know, it works traditionally. Just push the lock button. It beeps. To unlock it, just push this button here twice. It'll unlock all the doors for you, or once for just the driver door. Now, opening the door here and looking at the interior, you can see the interior actually makes a really nice, great first impression. I really like the brown leather that my tester has with the wood grain, which I believe the wood is actually fake. It's kind of an older take on wood because it has a shinier finish as opposed to the matte finish that everyone's going to. But I love the seats. I love the 1794 edition embroidered into the seat back itself. I like the suede on the seats as well. They're super wide, super comfortable. It comes with 12-way adjustable power front driver seat and then a 6-way on the passenger, and it gives you 2-person memory here. And the seats are heated and cooled on the Platinum and the 1794 edition. It's just a really nice, great first impression. Now, my tester is missing running boards. I highly recommend going for that option, especially if you're short like myself, and it doesn't have any grab handle here, so it's kind of a pain in the ass, if I'm being honest, to get into this truck. But you kind of just have to grab the steering wheel and just seriously hoist your way up. It's really a high seating position, so if you guys like that, you're gonna love that about the Tundra. Now, shutting the door, the door definitely sounds not quite as solid as some of the newer trucks that I've driven in this segment, but because it doesn't have push button start, as you can see here, you gotta put the key in the ignition. The steering wheel is power tilt and telescoping, as well as the seat, so that's nice. Turn it like a traditional key. And you can see here the gauges, they've been updated for 2014. They definitely are starting to look a little bit old compared to the full LCD screens that you get, or the half LCD screens you get in some of the competitors. This little helper screen here is pretty small, but you know, it's really easy to read. The font is, you know, okay looking. It's very, very much reminds you that the Tundra is an older truck. But looking at the rest of the center stack here, Toyota gave the interior a complete redo in 2014 where they changed the layout entirely. I much prefer this layout as opposed to kind of the two different side zones in the pre-refresh Tundra, where the driver side had a different color as the passenger side. This to me just looks more upscale, looks more premium. The 8-inch screen here is definitely looking a little bit on the smaller side. Actually, I believe it may be a 7-inch screen. I'll have to double check that. It looks like a 7-inch screen just because the dash is so incredibly large. Now, regarding the interior materials, the Tundra is pretty much class competitive. The upper portion here of the dash is hard touch plastic, but it has a decent graining material. There's some silver painted plastic trim splashed throughout. The door panels here, it is soft touch leather, the same stuff on the seats, where this portion here, it's hard touch plastic here. I wish that this was stitched in the same leather as the seats. It is padded, but it's just kind of a soft touch plastic material. The window is one touch automatic for both the front and not for the rear. I kind of was hoping it'd be for the rear, especially, you know, at this fully loaded price point. Now over here, going back to the dash, it is nice and padded right here, same soft stuff as the seats, more of that faux shiny glossy wood grain, which again, it's kind of more old school as everyone kind of moves toward aluminum trim or a matte finish wood. The steering wheel also has more of that wood, which actually feels really nice on the steering wheel. This is basically the same steering wheel that we've seen on other Toyota truck products. It has the old cruise control stock. It has all the switches in here. This is for your adaptive cruise control and the lane departure alert system. The steering wheel itself is actually hydraulically assisted. We'll go into the test drive later. Again, most of the other competitors are starting to go to electric power assist. Down here, there's some more switches. This turns on the light in the bed, which is not an LED. You have automatic high beams. This little switch here, when you push it down, it actually will open up the rear window, which is nice. It's a fully opening rear window, which is a class exclusive in this segment. The Tundra is the only one that offers that. You have more switches here. This controls your automatic headlights, the level function, and then you have power folding side mirrors, which is definitely important in a truck, especially that's 80 inches wide. Coming down here, you have a few more buttons. Your park distance control button is right there to turn it on and off. Your stability control off switch. It has a tow haul mode for the transmission, and then you have a trailer output or trailer brake controller here, which is included on this particular high trim. I like the fact that Toyota has really cleaned up the center stack here. It's really easy to use. You have traditional buttons here on the side. This is a touchscreen. It's the Toyota Entune system with their, their database of different sources. You have the Toyota Entune apps, but no Android Auto and CarPlay. This is not the newest system that I've shown you in the Camry, so that's a little bit disappointing. But again, it's nice that at least Toyota's given you this full screen where it does have factory navigation system. To access the nav, you have to go to apps, and the nav system will be in here. It's nothing really crazy. It's just Toyota's map graphics, which again aren't really super fancy, but they get the job done. Inputting a destination is pretty easy enough. The touch response is also quick enough. This is what your home screen looks like when you guys have it on that little display. Your heated and cooled seat controls are a hard button down here. Just push the button here. It tells you whether it's in ventilation mode or in heat mode, as you guys see. I like the fact that it has heated and cooled seats. It has dual zone climate control. Nice big knobs for tuning and volume. So again, really easy to use. This controls your four-wheel drive system, where it has a part-time four-wheel drive system. I wish they had like an automatic mode like some of the competitors, but again, Toyota only does a part-time system. This gear selector, which is massive, is wood accented on this high trim. It is a 6-speed automatic transmission. When you put it in reverse, it has a backup camera there. It has front and rear parking sensors, but no trajectory. A backup camera is standard on every Tundra, but it's a little disappointing it doesn't have trajectory. This is a big truck. It also could use a 360 top-down view. Again, because it's a big truck, just to help you with parking in and out. Hopefully Toyota adds that when they redesign this truck finally. I like the stitching here around the gear lever. That's actually a nice little touch. There's some big cup holders here, some more storage right here. The center console armrest here is huge, and going with that truck theme. There's no wireless charging here like in some of the Chevy trucks that I've showed you, or the GM trucks. And when you open up the center console, it's massive. You can seriously put a laptop computer or a pretty large purse, or even your leftover food in here. I was using that. There's some additional storage up here on the top of the lid. It's just really nice. I love these big trucks because they have so much storage space. That's kind of important when you guys are looking at vehicles like this. Going to the glove compartment here, it's actually a little bit on the smaller side, considering how big the dash is, but it's nice that Toyota gives you all this space here, to store your owner's manuals and your books. The seats, as I said, are really wide, comfortable, supportive. I really like the materials that they've trimmed it in this 1794 edition. And then my tester has a sunroof here. It's just a standard size sunroof. It's an $850 option. Nice to have that. I know Nissan doesn't offer a sunroof from the factory on the fully loaded Titan, but I mean, overall, aside from the data tech, no push button start, the interior in here has aged pretty well. I mean, there's a couple of older elements in here, but if you prefer more of a traditional look and feel, you're going to kind of get into this Tundra and just know how to use everything, as opposed to some of these fancier, newer trucks, which have gone a lot more digital, a lot more complex in their infotainment systems and their controls. The Crew Max model is gigantic, and actually Toyota rates the rear seat legroom to be around 42 inches, which is actually the same as the front. So if you want a big back seat, the Tundra gives you one of the largest in the class. You can see the doors itself are massive. They're huge rear doors, which are again are part of the Crew Max trim. If you guys go for the double cab, you'll get about 34 inches of legroom as opposed to the 42. Now the seat here actually flips up if you guys want to put the seat up and then use this kind of floor for storage area, which is nice. But Toyota actually gives you a nice little handle here to help you get in and out. My tester, as I said, is missing the running boards, but if you grab the handle here and get in, it's a very high step in. Kind of what you expect for something this tall. It has like 10 inches of ground clearance, and then shutting the door, it sounds just like the front doors, but the materials in here are nice. You have the same material from the seats. It's soft touch right here. There's this massive aluminum door, chrome plated door handle here with some more speakers, and then Toyota was nice enough to put some vents back here with a power outlet, but no USB and no heated rear seats. So again, it is missing features, but you can see here, check out this legroom. Holy crap. There is a lot of space back here to spread out, and you can actually fit 3 people across because this vehicle is 80 inches wide, so that's very nice to have. Now, folding this down, you have a nice little armrest here with some cup holders, and the seats themselves, they're pretty comfortable, honestly. I would be totally happy back here on a super long road trip, so that's why these big, crew cab configurations make really great family vehicles. Now, underneath the massive hood of the Tundra, Things are very traditional. Now, Toyota is only offering V8s in the Tundra lineup for the US. You started at a 4.6 liter V8. This is the up-level engine. It's the 5.7 liter iForce V8. We know this engine. Toyota's been using it in the Tundra since '07. It doesn't have direct injection. It does have their variable valve timing. It's double overhead cam. It makes pretty good numbers, 381 horsepower and 401 pound-feet of torque. It's all mated through a 6-speed automatic with either rear or part-time 4-wheel drive like my Tester. Now, fuel economy is definitely not the Tundra's strong suit. This is actually the lowest MPG in the segment. Unfortunately, it's rated at 13 in the city, 17 on the highway. Compare that to like 1723 that you get on an EcoBoost F-150. So Toyota's got their work cut out for them in the fuel economy department. The base 4.6 can get as much as like 1519, still less than the 1520 that I got in the Nissan Titan, the redesigned Japanese competitor. Now, the Tundra is pretty capable towing wise. This particular trim level only tows about 8,800 pounds. You can get one that will tow a max of about 10,200 pounds. The payload capacity is around 1,600 pounds depending on the cab configuration. But overall, it's a traditional V8. A lot of you traditional truck buyers are going to appreciate the noises it makes. The Tundra is pretty heavy. It weighs around 5,600 pounds in this fully loaded configuration. That's about 800 pounds heavier than a fully loaded F-150 that's comparable because of that aluminum chassis. But glorious V8 noises. Let's get out on the road and see how it all performs. So I've actually never had a chance to show you guys a full review on a Tundra, whether it be the first or the second generation. Haven't really had too much time behind the wheel of this and the Sequoia, even though these are pretty big sellers for Toyota. They move about 120,000 units every year. But this one's getting pretty old, but let's get out on the road and see how it actually feels despite its age. So immediately I'm noticing that burly V8. I mean, Toyota does V8 engines really well. I love the 5-liter V8 that you find in the Lexus LC or Lexus products. And this one kind of feels very, very similarly. It has a very similar power delivery and noise. And because this is unloaded and it stays in 2-wheel drive, rear drive mode when you don't have it in 4-wheel drive, it'll burn out its rear tires pretty easily. It has that very traditional truck-like feel, which surprised me. This is really a very American feeling truck. And it's got lots of pull. You know, 0 to 60 times Toyota says is around 6.8 seconds, which is about a second slower than an EcoBoost F-150. But again, you really kind of feel it to just be a very burly engine. The sound is great. The transmission is smooth enough. It shifts fine. It doesn't shift, you know, super quick. I actually had a chance to drive the new 10-speed F-150 with the 2.7 EcoBoost a couple of days ago. I really liked the way that truck drove. I'll have to show you guys a full review later on once I finally get Ford to loan me something, a new truck again. But I mean, overall, compared to the Titan with the 5.6, this has that, you know, similar feel. I like the 5.7 V8 in this. I actually think I may prefer the engine and transmission combo in the Tundra versus the Titan. It feels very much traditional, and it feels very similar to the 6.2 8-speed that I've shown you in the Silverado and the Sierra Denali. Now, these big pickup trucks are definitely family vehicles for a lot of you. I mean, with how much space I showed you it has in the back seat and how roomy it is, how could it not be? And when you drive the Tundra on, you know, a normal, you know, twisty road where it's kind of a little bit, you know, more, you know, small, the lanes are kind of smaller, this is where the Tundra's faults really start to, you know, kick in. It has a massive feel. Now, to some of you, you may like that, especially if you prefer driving big trucks, but some of the competitors have definitely shrunken in its size. The Tundra feels like you're basically piloting an old school big truck. It's wide, it takes up, you know, massive amounts of space here out on the road. The steering is super truck slow, basically. It's a hydraulic assist, which, you know, you would think it gives you lots of feedback, which it doesn't really do that. It's just really light, numb. It makes the truck easier to drive, so Toyota's obviously tuned it to be light, so you can kind of make tight maneuvers and whatnot. But Other than that, it's just, the visibility is great though. It's commanding. You have big side mirrors. You have a great view out of the front, good view out of the back. And then what Toyota added this year with their TSSP, it's got Toyota Safety Sense Plus, which means it's got adaptive cruise control, automatic emergency braking, forward collision alert, automatic high beams, lane departure alert. This one doesn't have the steering assist. So as you guys heard, it kind of just annoyingly beeps every time you cross the lane, which will happen often if you guys aren't used to driving a big truck because this thing takes up most of the frickin' lane. And then the adaptive cruise doesn't come to a full stop, but again, at least Toyota makes it standard on every trim, even the basic work truck. So that's kind of where they are one-upping their competitors, where some of them don't even offer it, or you have to get an expensive option package to get it. But Toyota's TSSP system, this is more of the older system, which is great that Toyota at least was able to retrofit it on this super old platform. But I mean, overall, the ride quality is also pretty good. It's nice and comfortable, even though my truck here is unloaded, but it kind of just soaks up the bumps really well. The seats are comfy. You can see out of it really well. It's relatively quiet in here as well. When I got out on the highway, it wasn't too noisy in here other than just the nice V8 noises it makes. It's a really pleasant truck to drive. It surprises me. I actually think I prefer the way this truck feels, over the current Titan, the one I drove. I just prefer the interior of this one. I wasn't happy with the interior of the Titan either, but I would rather probably go with this one. I like the V8 in this one a little bit more. I think it sounds pretty good. I think they honestly feel about the same when you floor it. It's really the Ford EcoBoost engine which will smoke this truck, and the GM when you get the 6.2 V8. That also feels faster, but again, it's a bigger engine. It's got 2 more gears in this, and it has more horsepower. Now again, this is not a sporty vehicle by any means, and when you start hustling the Tundra around some corners, this is where you can feel this truck's massive weight. It weighs 5,600 pounds, which is literally like 800 pounds heavier than the 2.7 EcoBoost F-150 I drove, which that truck honestly felt like a car. It just felt very car-like in its dynamics. You could feel the lighter weight of that, which I personally liked. Some of you may not, so again, you just need to test drive everything, but if you're seriously looking for the most traditional truck feel, the Tundra's the one that delivers it, and it feels super American even though this truck has a Japanese badge on it. For an engine that's pretty old, I have to say it still gets the job done. And when you rev it out, it sounds good. It has a very nice linear power band. It has the nice burly V8 noises you kind of expect in this segment. So the engine, I don't have a problem with. The transmission, sure, it could use another couple gears, but it's smooth enough. It's refined enough. It's honestly, you're just going to drive this truck and everything's just going to kind of go unnoticed. Now, fuel economy is a pretty weak point of the Tundra. As I said earlier, this is the thirstiest vehicle gas truck in the segment, and it's rated at 1317. I've actually been, the computer says only 10.8, but again, I drive pretty harsh, aggressively. On my own calculations, I was getting around 14 miles per gallon in combined driving. On the highway, I got it up to about 16. So it's pretty thirsty. This truck does have a pretty large 38-gallon gas tank, so on a full tank, it'll literally do like almost 600 miles of range. However, you are seriously going to be looking at near $100 fill-ups depending on the price of gas. So again, something to keep in mind. This big burly V8 sounds great. It moves the truck out nicely. However, the EcoBoost, F-150 or even the other V8 competitors with their better transmissions, more gears, have definitely gotten better fuel economy. That's one area that Toyota seriously needs to improve with the Tundra, and it's the gas mileage, the fuel thirst, basically. So despite its Japanese badge, this is probably one of the most American driving trucks that I've driven in this full-size pickup truck segment. And the Tundra really surprised me. I was expecting not to like the way this drove. However, I felt that it still had a lot of things that you can like about it. It's got a big burly V8 that delivers class competitive acceleration. It's got a smooth 6-speed automatic transmission, and it has a nice ride quality and interior appointments that really make this truck feel not quite as old as the redesign age would suggest. Now, how does the Tundra stack up against its competitors? It definitely feels a lot more traditional versus the Ford. I just drove the new F-150. Haven't had a chance to show you guys a full review yet, but you can really feel the Ford has more of that newer feeling with its lighter weight, with its twin turbo engines. I actually prefer that, but if you guys prefer prefer more of the traditional elements, the Tundra is probably the most traditional truck you can buy in this segment. So what's it going to cost to get one of these in your driveway? Well, the Tundra does start a little bit higher than some of its competitors. That's because Toyota got rid of the regular cab configuration. It was kind of a slow seller for them. Toyota says about 80% of you go for the iForce V8 and about 50% of you go for the Crew Max configuration like this particular one. It starts at around $31,000 for the base SR, and from there on it's basically going up to about $35,000 for the SR5, about $40,000 for the Limited. This Platinum and 1794, they started the same price, around $47,000. All in, my testers are about $52,000 with the optional $850 sunroof, and that makes the Tundra a bargain. If you guys look, an F-150 fully loaded can easily touch $70,000, which is kind of eye-opening. A lot of you don't really expect that. I had a fully loaded Silverado, which is like $58,000, and a fully loaded Titan Platinum Reserve, which is about $57,000. So the Tundra represents a pretty strong value, and if you guys look at resale values, it does have the strongest resale value in the segment, which I think I saw the Tundra holds about 70% of its value over the next 3 years, which makes it about 10% better versus a lot of the domestic and the next Japanese competitor, the Titan, in terms of the resale value. But that's another reason why you may want to choose the Tundra, is the fact that even though it's old, it has that reputation for durability and quality, and Toyota has been building that reputation in the US with trucks for over the last few decades. If you look, I mean, you'll see lots of trucks like that T100 over there, which is technically the original Toyota full-size truck. It was only in production from 95 or 96 to 98, but really, when you see trucks like that, it kind of gives you peace of mind if you guys actually plan to use these trucks for a long-term basis and haul stuff in them and really just beat the crap out of them. The Tundra should really be at the top of your list. Anyways, I hope you guys have enjoyed my full overview on this 2018 Toyota Tundra 1794 edition. If you're also looking to see the latest cars I'm testing, make sure you follow me on Instagram at Redline_reviews, like us on Facebook, and if you haven't done so, please subscribe to the Redline Reviews YouTube channel for all the latest reviews. Thanks so much for watching, guys. I'll catch you all in the next video.